Welcome back to 100 Days of Making Comics with me, Gazbot. It's day 31, the last day of the first month, 31% done, more than 25, a quarter of the way, a little less than a third. This is math, let's get on with it. So I've been making good progress. I have the digital pencils for page 1 done, the script was done a long time ago, and I have the layouts for page 2, 3, and 4, and today I'm going to start the digital pencils on page 2. Just a quick recap for those that don't know, 100 Days Making Comics is a art challenge, specifically a comic book art challenge, where you spend at least 30 minutes a day, although you could spend as much as you like, every day, consecutively, 100 days in a row, no skipping, no catching up, no being sick, no taking a break, in a row, on your own personal comic project. Now, when I say personal, that means it can't be something you were hired to do. It can't be prints for a show you're gonna do. It isn't just a bunch of character designs or thinking about comics. It's actually working on a story to either be printed or put up on a web page or just put in a box for yourself. But the point is that it's comic book pages that you're working on and you're not being paid for it. You might have a partner, that's fine, but it's something that it's a passion project. Originally created by Kevin Cross, the idea was for professional artists who were making a living doing art, but didn't have time to work on their own project. It was a way to carve a niche out. But it also works if you're a parent or if you have a day job and you're trying to be an artist, or whatever. But the point is to make that 30 minutes for yourself, for your art, for your comic, and do it every day and don't quit. Anyway, we're here today working on that. All right, I just hit my 30 minutes for the day. What I was doing was working on page 2, which you can see here. One of the first things I did is one of my fellow comic artist friends had given me a few notes on the roughs, and I took one of them and did it already, and the rest were minor things. But one of them was regarding these 3 panels, and I kind of disagreed, but I wanted to make sure I did my due diligence, so it was basically eliminating this panel and rearranging things, and I did that real quick, and I didn't like it, so I decided to keep it the way it was. Even though I appreciated the advice, it doesn't mean I'm going to blindly follow it. And so then I wanted to clean up this panel here, and so that's what I did. Let me see. Got it to about here. I don't like the face on the kid. I need to redo that, but otherwise this all looks good. And what's funny is I had drawn the window and I'm like, oh, I need kind of, Venetian blinds there. And I started looking online for reference. And then I looked to the left and I went, oh, right, there's right there. I could just do that. So it just goes to show how you get into weird certain mindsets. But anyway, I got it that far and then I started changing the face. I don't think I like that one either, but tomorrow I'm gonna be working on the face here and then probably moving on to the next panel. Right now I'm on my way out, and that's it for day 31. Hey-o! It's day 2, no, it's not day 2. What? It's day 32, February 2nd, no, February 1st. Numbers, let's start again. Off to a terrible start. It's day 32, February 1st, and we're doing the 100 Days Comics Making Challenge, or the 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge. Whatever, words, numbers, they're all troublesome. I'm gonna turn off this fan. I've been up for a little while. It looks dark, although it's only like 2 o'clock. Despite my energetic boofiness that you just saw, I am having trouble motivating myself today. I got up kind of late. I didn't have a good night's sleep. I got very little sleep. Yesterday I was hanging out with my buddy the Big Dog. We did a little toy hunting, and we watched that Nick Cage movie, Mandy, that crazy horror movie, which I'm glad I watched it. I don't necessarily recommend it unless you're a huge horror fan, especially of like older 70s Italian cinema, then you might like it. If you do watch it, I will say the second half is better than the first half. But this is all to say that I had a big day yesterday, didn't get a lot of sleep, and I've been trying to motivate myself today. Part of the problem is I have a bunch of stuff to do today. One of the things is I have a show I'm doing tomorrow. It's a short show. It's a one-day show. It's not even it's like I think it's like 10 to 4 or something, so it's not that big of a show. It's at a library, which I haven't done before. I've done a library show before, but not this library show, and I'm splitting a table with somebody I don't know. So I'm going to have 3 to 4 feet, so I have to adjust my setup, which is normally 6 to 8 feet. And I also have to go through my prints, and I don't want to bring my entire box of prints. I want to bring 5 or 10 of each print, and I want to get my comics ready and things like that. So I need to spend a while, an hour, 2, 3, getting ready, and I haven't done that. And I have to do it before I go to bed tonight, and I'd rather do it during the day, but I got up kind of late, and even having got up kind of late, I'm running out of energy, running low on energy, I should say, and I'm doing a Twitch stream today at 5:30, which is only a few hours from now. Plus, what I really wanted to be doing was doing the coloring on this kaiju assault card game card I'm working on, so that potentially I could then do more. I'm a rambling bamble, but I also wanted to bring up, it is February 1st. I am open for commissions right now. Despite everything I just said, my workload has dropped. I've gotten most of my client work done. So people have approached me. It's not like I'm it's constantly flooded with people wanting commissions. But often people ask me and I'm like, well, I can't do it right this second or maybe next month or whatever. And so like, I am not always open for commissions, but I am right now as of February 1st. I have one commission already ordered and deposited in. I have a few other people talk to me, but haven't given a deposit, so they're not on the list yet. But I don't have a set number in mind. Like I'm only taking 3, I'm only taking 5 or whatever. It's more, because if it's a lot of small ones, maybe I could take 5, 6, 7 if it's just like a bunch of headshots. But if they're more elaborate, then maybe I take 2, you know what I mean? So if you're interested in commissioning me for whatever, send me a private message, we could talk about it. Because after I take a few, I'll probably close down again for a while. I got a lot of stuff to get ready for shows in the summer and whatever. None of this has to do with 100 Days. 100 Days is all about my comic, what I'm doing on the Werewolves and Unicorns comic, or the Horror 4, which I have not yet got to today, but I shall. So let's just roll on. I'll get some stuff done. We'll talk again later here on day 32. It's a little bit later. It's about 10 to 5. My stream starts at 5:30, so I kind of want to wrap up here. So I might take a shower, and I got to get some like software-y stuff ready to go before. I don't want to be sitting down right before I start, is my point. But as you can see, I've been working on getting my prints together. I had done a few shows, and I have a bad habit of doing a bunch of shows. Yeah, my garage is a mess. Of doing a bunch of shows and then not being ready. So, like, I'm being unclear. Things get messy, and I do a bunch of shows, and I travel, and I'm exhausted, and I don't clean up the mess. And then a few months go by and it's time for a new show. And I'm like, oh, right, I left everything a mess. And that's where I am now. This container has, I do headshots that are 9x6. This container has at least one of every headshot. Some have doubles, all packaged and ready to go to sell. These are my displays. On the table is all my stock, my extras, of which I should bring some to the show, but some of them weren't in bags. Some of them got printed and you know, were not organized. Some of them got mixed up. And some of them I might have 20 or 30 of, and I don't want to bring 20 or 30 to this one show. Maybe I want to bring 5. And I foolishly was combining piles. I had, you know, oh, I have 20 here, and then I got 4 there and 1 there. I'll put them all together. And after I did that for about half of them, I realized, wait, these piles were separate on purpose, because the pile of 20 or 30 is to stay in the garage as my stock. The pile of 5 is to bring with me to a show. So I was undoing work that I now need to do. But again, time is of the essence. I gotta go out. I'll finish this up later. All right, it's about 1:30 in the morning. I did my Twitch request live. I went out to eat with Q. Don't feel very well physically, but in between bathroom trips, let's say, I've been loading up the car and processing. You can see there's like a little bit of a mess here, but back here, everything's emptied out. That's all the prints, comics, everything I'm gonna bring, and I've consolidated it very well, so I don't have more than 6 of any print. Most prints I only have 2 of. Got all my comics, sketch covers, etc. I'll bring my drawing pad and pencils and things like that in my backpack in the morning. And what else? Oh, normally I've been using 2 tripods and a tarp setup, but I'm only having half a table, so I went back to the old grid system that I used to use, because I measured I could put 2 next to each other. It's only 3 feet, which is, I'll have between 3 and 4 feet, and I can make it tall for display. So I probably brought more than I need to, or more than I'll be able to use, but I'm not, this is a new space, and I'm at a library, and so I kind of just, I brought less than I usually do, but more than I probably need. That's what I'm getting at. Have I done my 30 minutes yet? No, I still need to do that. Go inside, do that now, and then probably take a shower and try to go to sleep, because it's, like I said, 1:30 in the morning, and I need to leave by like 8 in the morning, so I need to get up at like 7:30, so if I fall asleep now, I'll get 6 hours. All right, it's about 2 a.m. now, and I'm sitting down to do my 30 minutes. Good. All right, I just did my time. It was maybe 40 minutes, because I literally have spent all this time redrawing the face of the kid, the panel I did yesterday. I did the whole panel yesterday in 30 minutes, and today I spent more than 30 minutes trying to redraw the face. I've already erased the original face, and I drew this one, and I don't like it. I'm trying to go for a few things. I want the kid to look nervous, I want to have a slight up angle, and I want it to look like a kid, and maybe have a vague resemblance to what I look like as a kid. This fails on almost every count. So then I kind of, I had a few more redraws that I think I deleted. So then I did this, and this one happens a lot. Like, that rough kind of hits it. The likeness, whatever, but it's sort of looking up, a little nervous, whatever. And then I cleaned it up here, and he looked like crazy, like deformed or something. So I erased that, went back to this, cleaned it up again, and this is where I'm at. I still don't love it, but this is the best I've gotten. And again, I erased a few different versions. This is probably like the 6th version of the face. And I think the problem is it's a character I didn't really design. And so I'm designing on the page and doing an expression and an angle that I don't do all the time. So I'm gonna leave it here. When I go back to the next phase, I'll probably want to revisit it and try to make it better. But my time's up, and how many more times can I redraw it? So I'm not gonna come back to it tomorrow. So that'll be it for day 32, February 1st. It's about 2:30. I have to feed the cats, play with the cats. I was gonna take a shower before bed and shave. I might do that, or I might get up early and do it tomorrow, or I might just be a little dirty when I go to the show. I don't know. I'm gonna get no sleep. The good news is it's a short show. It's 8 hours total, including setup and takedown. They give us an hour in each end. So it starts at 10, it's over at 4. It's free, you know, so any money, and it's pretty local. I'm glad I'm doing it. It's just bad timing that I'm doing it tomorrow, basically. But you'll see more about that on the next video. Well, not the next video, but the next in a second. For you, in a second. Here it is. Day 33. Day 33? Yeah. I got almost no sleep. I was in bed for about 4.5 hours total, and I think I somewhat slept for 2 of those hours, and didn't even solid sleep, but kind of in and out for about 2. So I feel not great. Having a caffeinated coffee. I'm all packed up, luckily, from last night, and I'm gonna head over now. Could use a shave, could use a haircut. I'm okay without a shower. I took a shower yesterday late in the day, so I'm not stinky or anything. I'm tired, but the show must go on. So I made it here in plenty of time. As expected, I'm a little early, and they are letting us set up, so that's good. The table size is fine, but the actual area around the table is smaller than I thought. So I don't think I'm gonna set up my grids at all, but there is a wall behind me, and then they said I could tape things up to that, which will work out just as well, if not better. So that's fine. I'm bringing up my tabletop displays. I brought my black tablecloth, but it covers the entire table, so I assume my table mate won't care, but if they do, I'll, remove it if they want, but otherwise we're sharing it. The display I put up there, pretty much everything is on this rack right here. And believe it or not, I have all of my prints represented. All right, 9:30, mostly set up. I'm just bringing my hand cart and 1 empty box and my backpack and other stuff to get out of the way because there's not a lot of room. Yeah. 4:07, show's done. I'm exhausted. Went pretty well. Made some money, sold comics for a change. And yeah, don't regret doing it. I just regret being so tired. Now I'm in the elevator, it's 4:23. My hair is super puffy. And now, am I going right to bed? I don't know. I should. I don't know if I am. It's about 11:45. Regardless, it's the end of February 2nd, which is what I have to keep doing now is 31 days plus however many days in this month. And that won't work next month. But the point is, 31 days plus being the 2nd means it's day 33, right? Yes? That's me right now. Goodbye. Here's what we're looking at. I had previously worked on this panel because it was easier, even though it's more complicated and dynamic. I kind of am more in my comfort zone. I knew what I was doing, no background, whatever, a monster. So then I went back to start working on this panel. It's coming out easier than I thought. It's still not as easy as the next panel, but not as difficult as this one was. And as I look at it now, I still hate the expression on that face. I struggle with perspective sometimes. I theoretically understand the rules, but in practice, I still struggle with it. And so what I did was I did the figure first, and then I put this background more or less flat, and I'm going to have to figure out where the horizon line is properly, because there's going to be a window and a few other things up here, and then the shadows and stuff. But I feel like the horizon is more or less in this general area here. But that's a problem for another day, because today I am done for now. Yes. Hi. Well, I have done it. I've done my 30 minutes a little bit earlier than usual. I may come back to it later, I don't know, but I wanted to get it out of the way so that I could handle some other things and not be doing it last thing at night as I've been doing. Let me show you what I've done. It's been a quite productive 30 minutes. I finished this panel, which I started yesterday. I put in the temp shadows. Now, the thing is, this is still considered pencils, so I probably shouldn't be putting in shadows, but it's such an important part of what I'm working on here that it'll inform the inks. And as kind of how I talked about with the layouts, how they started off, the first couple pages were almost like scribbles, and then towards the end, they're almost pencils. Now my pencils, as I go on, they're becoming almost inks, but that's, whatever. It makes it easier later that I'm putting in more work now. I also scaled this figure up a bit. I ended up keeping everything basically in a flat 31-point perspective. I had a horizon line here. So other than a little bit of the underside of these, and it's all very super symmetrical and straight on, which is a boring shot, but it was so cluttered, and there's going to be some word balloons that it's kind of what I wanted. But I realized that the figure is about that tall, and while he is a kid, he's not that short, you know, so I made him a little bit taller. He could maybe even be a little bit taller, but I think it works for now. I also revisited this face, which I hated. I like it a lot better now. I might revisit it again. Well, I'll certainly revisit it again in the inks, but just with the last few minutes I had, I redid that. And actually, if I turn it off, you can see there's a little bit more of a terrified expression here, but I preferred like a nervous expression, and just that's way off model. The eyes and the mouth look weird. This is a little bit more on model. And it's one of those things where I'm designing the characters as I go, so having drawn them a few times, I'm like, oh, we should look a little more like this. So it's still not perfect, but it makes me feel a little bit better about where I'm at. And that's it for today. Hey, it's the afternoon of day 37, and I'm about to go out and do some things outside of the house for a while. Thrill to the frozen section of Target. Thrill, I tell you, thrill. All right, I'm done. I did my 30 minutes to an hour thing that I've been doing. I was working on panel 3, which is page 2, which is another panel that I was sort of not looking forward to. Well, let me show you. So this is the panel rough. The rough's here, and then I had thrown shadow on to give myself an idea of what I was doing as far as the tone and storytelling stuff. So this, I turned that off so I could get a better, clear look at the rough. And what I started doing first was doing the kid, and I wasn't loving it. And it's weird, I actually completely changed the pose, which I didn't mean to, but I did. And I realized that, I don't know, the angle was weird, and I'm not sure what I was doing with the perspective and stuff. So I said, let me work on the background. So I've since combined a lot of different layers, but let me turn off the roughs. But I did the background, and the first thing I did was make a horizon line here and create this little alcove. So this is basically an unfinished basement, and this would be the kitchen, which is here. Coming through that door, going down the stairs is what I'm trying to accomplish. So this was pretty straightforward, and I actually did this mostly in perspective to a horizon line here with vanishing point here. So it's weird. It looks like 4 panels, but it's one image that's been sectioned into quadrants. Looking at these stairs, I remember now that I had intended to make them hollow underneath, where it's just like a plank, but when I drew them, I gave it a front. I may or may not change that, but what I kept doing was I got the bare bones down like here, and then I would populate it with wires and stuff. And I actually looked up, this is again from my memory, the basic layout, but I remember the basement being unfinished. I'm like, what is an unfinished basement? Like, was it drywall, whatever? So I looked up pictures and found, you know, okay, well, before drywall goes in, there's all these planks, and there's some cinder blocks, and there's the wiring and all that stuff. So I, you know, kind of half did it from memory, half like looked at what it would actually look like, and kept populating. And for example, I populated that too. There was just a light bulb light and a ladder and a few other things. So a lot of it was a different layer that I merged down eventually. The boy I will work on tomorrow, maybe redo completely. But meanwhile, I put the shadow in because the only light would be coming from this bulb, potentially from the kitchen as well, but that would only reach in here. And that worked, but it wasn't quite dark enough for the whole thing, so I added more because it should be very, very dark except for where the bulb is shining. And I'm not even sure if this light should be here or not, but I think that definitely gave it the tone I wanted. And again, I know this is just a rough, but the shadowing, the shading is such an important part of getting it right that it's hard to know if I got it right without putting that in. And I did put it in, I'm happy with it. Then I'll have to put the boy in and do shadowing on him. I also had originally had a railing there, which I realized there isn't. It would be on this side, which we won't see. So, you know, more work to do on it tomorrow, but good work done for today. As I was emptying this box, I found some more old photos. Started flipping through a stack, and look, it's me wearing the mask. The other picture was later at a Halloween party. This is actually me in the mask. If you look closely, you can see the press-on nails. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. And once again, I got it correct, but I wonder if the other picture is in here, the one I was thinking of. The answer is yes. This is the picture I had in my mind. It's not exactly as I remembered it. It's kind of flipped. I thought the tree was in there, but there's my buddy Dave Hussey as a soldier pointing his BB gun at me. My cousin Adam is a glowworm in the background, and me. And looking at the cape, it's more of a Dracula cape than I remember. And while I do have a sweatsuit on, it's actually black. So the costume's actually cooler than I remember. But yeah, I might revise my picture now that I found this. And now it's Thursday, day 38. All right, well, I just got done with the boring part of my client work, which was the Back to the Future caricatures. I needed to do the one guy was fine, the other guy in 2 of the pictures, they wanted some revisions, so I did the part of that. Now I need to see if that gets approved, and if it does, then I will make the same changes to the other one. Blah, it's done. What I'm gonna do now Continue to work on this, which is a more fun job, which is a commission to do a kaiju of Nessie. These are reference sketches this is a movie that was never created, but it was supposed to be created, and so these are like rough sketches that this is my work, but I was copying rough sketches that the designers at Toho did, and then there's a couple different artists that have interpreted it already, and I was working on the fins, and then here, this is another artist's interpretation. This is, again, an original Toho sketch. This is based on a kaiju monster version of the Loch Ness Monster that was in an old episode of Doctor Who. So I'm trying to take all these and make an amalgam, which will then be my own take on it while still being faithful to what the character's supposed to be. But it's interesting because this character was never officially done, so anything I do is right, but I wanted to be in the ballpark because a bunch of artists are hired for this project to do the same character, and I don't want to be too far out of left field, but just basically, take the pieces of the different versions and make the version I think is best out of them. So I'm kind of done with that phase. The scene I'm doing, it's attacking a harbor or a coastal town. It's a sea monster, so that makes sense. And I did some research for reference for that sort of thing, and I think like a loading dock sort of situation might make the most sense with the containers and stuff. It might be cool to be knocking a bunch of containers over. And this I just realized I have the music on. I don't know how loud that was, but I don't want to get a copyright strike either. So, this comes out to something I was saying about not knowing what to do and how that could be frustrating and slow you down sometimes, because I'm excited for this project and I was doing the monster stuff and I was like, cool. And then I started doing a rough sketch for the layout, and I find my normal process is do whatever I want out of my head, do a couple crazy layouts, and then try to make that work, and if it doesn't work, find some reference and stuff. But what I was finding in this one, and maybe this might be something to think about going forward, is instead of trying to figure stuff out on the page, in the middle of the drawing, trying to figure out how the anatomy works, or what does this shipping container look like, or whatever, doing a couple pre-production sketches first helps with that. And more specifically, when I was looking at different images for reference for the location he'd be attacking, or she, or it, whatever, I found some that were like kind of cool angles. I was like, oh, this could basically be my scene. And then I just insert the monster into it. So all of a sudden it made it a lot easier. It made it, instead of trying to invent something out of my head completely, which is fun to do, but I don't know what a shipping harbor looks like. I mean, I maybe see one on TV a few times, maybe was at one once in my life, maybe. But instead of trying to invent that wholesale, I could take part of it, and that component's sort of semi-done for me. And then I could just adjust it how I like and put an explosion and that kind of stuff. But yeah, that definitely made it a lot better, and it took away some of the, I was sort of stalling after I worked on the monster designs. So today, anyway, I will probably be doing some reference rough sketches for that background, and then maybe work up a rough comp, and that's probably as far as I'll get today. But that's good, because that's where I was kind of getting stuck. The actual details of the monster stuff should be the easy part. And then, of course, I'll get to my werewolves versus, I always want to say versus, werewolves and unicorns story. Satan, please turn me into a werewolf. All right, so I worked a bit on the Nessie commission. This is the image I ended up using mostly for the background reference. And what I did was I actually drew on top of it. I'm not going to trace it, but this is essentially the scene I want. And most of it's going to be covered up by Nessie here. And I'm going to have this box, actually, if I turn this off, getting knocked off. And I added another little piece here, and I added some people, but it kind of gave me a framework. And most of the ship behind it will be covered up anyway. But it did also help me find a good perspective line down here, which is actually way over there somewhere. And then what I focused on mainly after getting that rough down was the design of the face, which I did several passes on. And I put in the shadow and the highlight because with a lot of these monsters, like that looks pretty good. I think I like it. But then like putting in the shadows, like, okay, well that now it has that sinister look to it, because any of these rubber suit monsters in bright light don't look as good. And so I don't want that. And I'm gonna have an explosion over here, so there's gonna be light hitting it and whatever. So that's about as far as I got now. I'm gonna walk away from that for now and do a little work on the werewolf story for my actual day of 100. Okay, I've done my time, more than a half hour, closer to an hour. A little disappointing with what I got done, though. This is where we were yesterday. I forget how much time I spent, but I got a lot done on this, the basement and whatever. So today I just had to put the boy in, and I did, and here he is. not amazing. I think the pose is okay. I think the shadowing's okay. The face, mediocre. Better than some other faces I've done. But like, this is the one I redrew a few times. This one I liked okay. I don't know what it is, like, I'm having trouble with consistency and expression. It's passable, but I redrew that. I drew the body and everything else pretty quickly, and then I spent a long time redrawing the face, like 15 times, and to the point where I'm like, think it's mediocre, okay. But regardless, this panel is now done. I'm pretty happy with it overall. And actually, if I turn on the lettering real quick, I didn't want to show it too much, but you can see, as I was saying, how it kind of descends the stairs that way, which I think is kind of cool. So I think what I'm going to do now, I've touched on a few different art things. I'm going to actually edit this video. What, this video? Yes, because I put up a video yesterday, and then I have one to like half ready, you know, full of video of like the next 5 days. Today is the 7th, which means it's the 30, I already forgot how I do this. 38, day 38? That's not right, is it? 38? Whatever. Today's the 7th, and if I end now, I can maybe put the video up and be completely caught up, including today. Which is kind of what I did last time too. I don't know why, but I let it expand to the point where I put up 2 videos right on top of each other, and it was like super caught up and then fell behind. And that'll probably happen again, but whatever. I may or may not do more artwork later, but I am going to end it. This is the end of my video today, day 31 plus 7, 38. Let's say it's during day 38. Hopefully that's true. Okay, thanks. See you soon.